All right, the recording is underway. So Tom, we're ready to start whenever you are.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, Tom.
Now that the meeting's called to order at the 4:04, can we begin a roll call? With Ben, why don't you start your top of the list?
Okay. Gunning here.
Craig here.
Bars here.
Zalad here.
Bacon here.
Equam here.
Oh, we got Sarbret. Mr. Chowdhury, how you doing?
I've asked.
You gotta unmute yourself.
So the attendees are recorded. Let's move on to approval of the agenda.
Good.
I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved by Zalad.
Second by
Support
Fig.
by Bars.
Motion by Zalad, second by Fig. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. The agenda is approved. Moving on to agenda item number 4. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of May 19th. They're in your packet.
Move that we approve the meeting minutes from the May meeting as presented.
So move. Bars.
Motion by Zalad, support by Bars to approve the meeting minutes of May 19th, 2020. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Hearing none, those meeting minutes are approved. Motion carried. On to item 5, correspondence. And item 6, public comment. So Rodney, this is where you being the master, you can see who's on. Can you let us know?
Currently, we do not have any members of the public in attendance.
Okay, let the record show. Let's move on to item 7, reports. Start at the accounts payable.
Good afternoon. I'm going to cover the accounts payable and the financials for this afternoon's meeting. We'll start off with the East EDA accounts payable. I'm going to go over the accounts payable for June and July for your approval because we didn't have a quorum at the last meeting, so we didn't get approval on those accounts payable items officially. So for the East EDA, we had a payment to Consumers Energy on May 20th for $583.33. And then on June 11th, we had a payment to Consumers Energy for the street lights, $546.20. And on June 16th, we had a payment to Black Electric for $14,445. That included replacing a light pole on Pickard that was damaged during an accident in 2019. And they changed gateway banners and installed Art Reach banners. And we
Did
also
we-
had a payment
Right.
on June 16th.
Did we get reimbursed through the insurance company on that, or did we have insurance to cover that damage, or?
Yes, we received a reimbursement from insurance in 19 for that, 2019.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's surprising they've never seen that.
And there's also a payment to MMI on June 16th for $162.25. That's just for the normal grounds maintenance around the park benches that they do each month. That was for May. And then we also had another Consumers Energy payment for street lights, for electrical on the street lights on 7/15. That was for $504.67. We made a payment on July 21st to the Union Township Water Department for $1,979.20. That's for the sprinkling system along Pickard. We had another payment to MMI on July 21st, and that was for $782.25 for regular maintenance around the park benches up and down Pickard. We also had a payment to Pleasant Time Herb Farm for $7,288. That was to water flower baskets and clean the plant beds and hang and water the flower baskets. And then we also have a payment to Phelan Turf Irrigation for the irrigation system along Pickard in the amount of $9,181.70. This was for starting and checking the system at the beginning of the year and troubleshooting, replacing nozzles, and getting the whole thing up and running as it should be for this season.
Got a question. That 8,900 seems like a lot of money for starting. I think it's a lot less than that. Wasn't there some damage out there of some type or another?
I don't,
Yes, this did include some damage to the system that had to be repaired. I did have a conversation with them about that and confirmed what was done, and that it was more extensive than in previous years.
One of the things I know I check, I don't know.
Lines, right?
I don't know if they ever produced a map. We asked about it, I think I asked about it last year, and I don't know what's going on, but do we have a map of the irrigation system in the case that something, or, I mean, first of all, I'd like to see a map so we don't run into it, but, and I hopefully when we have any utility company could come in and see that we have a map that's registered. Is that, I don't know if we're at that point yet.
I'll tell you what I would suggest. We have on our agenda the under pending business review of future projects, and if it'd be all right, let's discuss it at that point. I'll make a note to answer that question at that point.
That's fine with me. Thank you.
I got a question
Yeah, I'm
on
just
this one
checking here on the Zoom
also.
meeting. We gotta unmute.
I got actually 3 questions. Jim, do you want to go first?
No, I've got a phone call here. I'll stay on the line, but I'll get
All right.
right back with you.
So staying with where Rick is at, I had a talk today with Randy Schrar at Teelan's and asked specifically about that bill and how much of it was damage from the lines, the main trunk lines getting cut on both sides of the road. And the lion's share of that is from that. We also have a lot of costs involved because of that main trunk line being damaged, on Pleasant Time having to hand water all of our plants. And we also have a bill from our water department who neglected to inform anyone that there was a misdig in that area that could have avoided this whole calamity for $2,000 almost. So I'm having a real hard time at this point in time feeling that we should approve these July payments.
What I will say about the MISTIG program is like I said, this is something that we can talk in more detail about, but they have certain requirements in order to be able to put our irrigation system and our underground electrical into the MISTIG system. Right now, we don't meet those requirements. That's one of the future project items that we have on that list that was handed out back in May, related to electrical anyway, and certainly the irrigation can be included on it. But right now, the water and sewer department cannot tell anybody where the irrigation system is or where the electrical lines are for the street light, because they do not have any records for that. And MISTIG we cannot add them to the system until we have that information accurately mapped out.
Okay, I'm gonna call BS on a lot of this, because I'm having a hard time understanding why, when the Public Utilities Department is getting called to mark our water and sewer lines on Pickard, fully knowing that we have irrigation and electric on that street, cannot communicate with management to have irrigation and electrical marked. That doesn't jive with me, dude, because that cost us right now, what I'm looking at is close to $10,000 because that phone call wasn't made.
Well, it was. The problem is that we do not have maps of those systems. They were not. There was the as-built was not
Rodney, listen. Block
created.
Electric can certainly track the conduit lines. They're straight
Yes.
line from pole to pole. That's number one.
That is correct.
Irrigation lines, I talked with Teal and Turf, and if they would have been notified, all they had to do, they can't, there's no map. And they can't map it, by the way, to answer the question from earlier, because they simply would have to dig the whole thing up to figure out where the water lines are. But the main trunk line is a straight line between each valve box. And what we got really lucky about is that when they cut the main trunk, they didn't cut the wires on either side. If they would have cut the wires on either side, we would have been looking at another 10 grand. So I just don't understand why the utilities department, knowing that there's a misdig on Pickard, knowing it's on the EDA district, cannot pick up the phone and call up the township management department and say, hey, there's going to be a misdig. They might cut our electrical conduit. They might cut our water lines. Maybe we should have somebody come in and mark it. This is typical government waste. I'm sorry, I'm pissed about this.
I understand. I agree. The problem is we need to have geo-referenced maps to put them into the MISTIG system. That is an absolute requirement. Until they're in the system.
Until they're in the system, our utility
maps.
department can't call up our own manager and say, hey, there's going to be a dig in that area. You might want to have electrical come in and mark. You might want to have irrigation come in and mark.
Yeah.
That's common sense, Rodney.
I understand, but until they're in the MISTIG system and mapped in it, we're not protected. That is the requirement of MISTIG, is that we have to have geo-reference maps. We can certainly geo-reference, as you said, we can geo-reference a lot of the irrigation system. Can't get everything, but we can get a lot of it. And we certainly can get the trunk lines geo-referenced, but it is going to require going through the process to do that and setting it up in the compatible way for MISTIG.
And then I'm sorry, but the utility bill for the water at $2,000, how much of that was wasted water from the trunk lines being cut? So I would like to know, before we do anything on that bill, is I like to know what our water bill was last year.
Ben, what was that? I couldn't hear your last.
I with a $2,000 utility bill, a lot of that was, I'm sure, from when those trunk lines got cut. There was a lot of water wasted. So what is our average expense in Q2 on that system?
So, this is Tom Keequam. Can we note Ben's questions? It's unfortunate. I understand where Rodney's coming from also. You have to be a subscription paid member to the MISDIG program. It's expensive. You have to have engineered, documented as-built. It's unfortunate the original row drawings of that landscape design somehow got misplaced within the township hall. Like Rodney's suggesting, future, it would be a good project to pursue row engineering, get the engineered stamp drawings, buy a subscription membership to MISDIG, get that program going, avoid this in the future. But right now, it's crying over spilt milk. I think we should address it, and I'd like to see these bills paid. But with that, is there any more questions on these bills?
No, I'll hold my fire till, as someone who uses the MISDIG system, in fact, I have my own access to terminals. The easy solution, if I may suggest, is the township is already part of MISDIG. I'm not sure about having the drawings on file with MISDIG because it's still the utilities' responsibility to mark them. I would suggest that when the utilities department gets a MISDIG, if it's on the Pickard corridor, that we direct them, if we're the proper body, to contact Teelan if it looks like it's going to be an area of irrigation, and then we would pay Teelan to go out and mark it, at least give us their best guess. We could do the same thing, whether it's Block or whoever we would have, to go out and do the same thing for the electrical lines for the lights. And that way we don't have to get another subscription. We can use the same notification organization that we have. It's just a matter of the board, if it's the board of trustees or whether, because it's our systems, we're paying for it. If we can make that request, Kim, and set that system up so that when there is a MISDIG in that area, they know to call Teelan's and or Block or whoever we want to have it. And then we, as the owners of those facilities, would have to pay to have them marked. And I think, I'm not sure if Block would do that, but I, talked to Teelan and they indicated that they would, he'd be willing to go out and mark it for us. So to me, that's probably the simplest way to, get it. Is it 100% legal? No, but we don't have to end up spending a lot of money documenting and there. So that, as someone who uses a MISDIG system every day, that would be my suggestion.
So if I may add on to Jim, your statement, I did ask that in the Board of Trustee meeting 2 meetings ago directly to the utilities director, and quote unquote, no, we can't do that because that would be impossible. We have too many coming in. Quote unquote.
Yeah.
So sit on that one.
Yeah. Nope.
Rodney, I have
just to let you know what we're dealing with.
Yep. Oh, understood.
So well, I think my understanding, we're going to defer the comment on these, the electric and the water both to the rest of the end of the meeting. In the meantime, what I'm hearing from Jim and Ben, if I could summarize this, is that if there's work being done out on the East DDA area, that maybe let the utility department, let whoever, I don't know, if Mystic calls or whatever goes on, I don't know the connection, but at least have someone go out there and try to mark what they know of right now, right? Is that
Yeah, unfortunately, what Ben said is when he brought that up, that that wasn't well responded. So I don't know what to say to that, but I just, the people that get the misdigs, it would require some effort to notify, Teelan or somebody to mark those utilities. But if that's a problem or something the Board of Trustees has to address or is unwilling to, then we'll just pay for the repairs, because that's the alternative. Which is why we're doing what we're doing. We pay the repairs.
If I may, just to kind of make one final thought related to Misdig, and that is that the legal protection of the township comes when we have the information georeferenced and mapped properly and recorded with Misdig. That in that case alone is when any damage is then the responsibility of the person that damaged it. Otherwise, even if we mark it, if somebody hits a line that we've marked outside of the Mistig system, it's still our responsibility to repair it. So it is still very important to get the systems geo-referenced and mapped properly so that we can have them in the Mistig system. We have received calls from Consumers Energy and also from MDOT this year, working on projects along Pickard Road. And we did make both of those agencies aware and their contractors aware of the general location of systems. And there was a substantial effort made to avoid them. But as I said, the key solution really is to map the systems in a way that they're in the Mistig system and protected then by state law that governs that Mistig format.
Yeah, not to be argumentative, Rodney, but that's not the case. What I don't know is if Mistig requires those maps to be set to the state or to their system. Misdig does not mark any lines.
Well, I didn't say they did. What I'm saying
No,
is
but you implied that if we get the records in with Misdig that it's taken care of, and that's absolutely not the case. If a Misdig is put in and we don't mark the township doesn't mark a water line, that gets hit. That's, even though it's in the maps, even though we're Misdig, that goes right back to the township for failure to mark that.
Thank you for that. You're
That's
absolutely
not
right.
what I heard you say. So that's just, I just want to be clear to the group that's not familiar with it, is someone is still responsible, even if we're enrolled in Misdig, to go out and physically mark that line within 30 inches either side in order to have protection under the Misdig Act.
Thank you for that clarification. You're absolutely right.
Thank you. All right, I make a motion, we pay the bills as presented for the East EDA.
I will second.
With motion by Zalid, support by
Bacon?
Bacon.
I have a question before we vote on it, Tom.
Go ahead.
I think it raises an interesting point that the water could have been flowing like crazy, and that $1,900 bill seems extremely high. I don't see why we couldn't hold off on that, especially since it's a township bill, and work it out, looking back a couple years to see what it has been normally for water flow that time of the year.
My response would be is just like the damage, we're responsible for the water used because of that damage. It's our line, and as an owner, if we choose not to mark it, which is our default position, I'm not saying that's a good one, but where we're at today, we don't mark the lines. So we'll just repair it when it gets broke. And that's the same thing with the water. My thought would be is go ahead and pay this one if you want to investigate a little bit more, but it's part of the damage. You've got the bill to Thielen and you've got to pay for the water. If it was excessive and there was a lot of water lost, that still cost. It's our system and it's damage to our system. So I'd say we're still liable for it one way or another.
Well, if there is this kind of damage going on and problems that were caused, is there an insurance policy that would relate and cover that kind of problem?
I'll let Rodney address that, but insurance is not there to protect people from being stupid on a regular basis. If they may pay one thing, the second time you do that, and Marty, you know this because you're in business, your rates are going to go up or get canceled. So
Exactly.
like I said, the right answer is whether if we absolutely have to get a Mystig subscription, do it our own and pay someone to do that, that's the right answer. That's one option. The other option is just to do what we've always done, and that's fix the rip as it gets tore out and pay the bills as to come. Those are your two options, and the board just needs to decide what they want to do.
But anyway, we have a insurance, so that's what we have, and we should use that.
I disagree, but that's my personal opinion.
Called a question.
Yep.
You won my vote, Jim, with that first sentence of your statement. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, hearing no more discussion. And I got a motion on the table by Zalid, support by Bacon, to approve the EDA payables from May 20th to July 21st. All in favor of approving that, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And the motion's carried. Thank you. Let's move on to the West DDA check register.
Okay, we have a couple of checks coming from the West DDA. On June 16th, we issued a check to Union Township Sewer Fund. This was for $73,533.91. That was for a final payment on the sewer pump number 14 project that the West DDA participated in. And then we have a payment on July 21st to the Union Township Fire Fund in the amount of $52,067.68. That amount represents the tax captures that the West DDA took from the fire fund, and now the West DDA pays that back to the fire fund for fire protection for the year. And those bills total $125,601.59 for the West DDA.
I move that we pay the West DDA bills as presented.
Support.
Second. Support. Yeah.
I believe that was Zalid and Big Mars. Any discussion?
I just want to let you know I got a call from Dave Coyne. He is on the meeting. 984 is the last digits. Just to let you know.
Yeah, he just arrived and he is. I muted him. He's all set.
Oh, good. Okay. Again, the motion on the table is to approve the West DDA check register for the $125,601.59. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, Both the same. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Okay,
Can we move on?
Go ahead.
Can we move on to the June financial reports?
Okay, I'll move on to the revenue and expenditure report for the East EDA fund. If you look to the revenue section, you'll see that the tax captures for this year are now posted. So we have $434,701 in property tax now showing in the revenue area. And in the expenditure area, you'll see that everything is currently within budget. And we have a total of $52,025 in the expenditures area. Are there any questions on the revenue and expenditure report for the East DDA?
Barry, on the state aid revenue, is that still a pretty good number, you think, or?
I filed that report to the state in June, and that it came back. They haven't reviewed it yet or approved it, but it looks like that number is going to be 63,000 instead of the 55.
Okay, so you still anticipate that you haven't heard anything that's going to be on the table to get axed?
Right, I don't know for sure, but right now the request is in, and based on past years, I'm hoping that we receive it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, are there any other questions? Okay, moving on to the balance sheet for the East DDA fund. We do have total assets of 1.7 million, and the ending fund balance, if it were the end of the year, right now would be about 1.7 million. Are there any questions on the 248 fund balance sheet? Okay, moving on to the West DDA fund revenue and expenditure report. You'll see the same thing. The property tax captures are posted now in the amount of approximately 322,000. And the expenditures are still within budget. We did have the payment to the sewer system for that pump station. I think it was pump station number 14. You'll see that there, 73,533. That was just a final payment because the project wasn't finished in 2019. It carried over into 2020. Did anybody have any questions on that report? Okay, moving on to the balance sheet. You'll see that we have about, in assets, there's about 1.2 million in assets. And the ending fund balance at this point, net of revenues versus expenditures, is about 1.2 million. Are there any questions on that?
Oh, good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's let the record show the financial reports were presented. Moving on to agenda item 7C, the board member expiration matrix. Yeah, please keep an eye on your expiration time and keep us current. And moving on to item 8, new business, 8A. Rodney, you gonna walk us through that?
I can do that. You have before you a request for EDA board action. This is an association with a request for assistance from the Mount Pleasant Area Convention and Visitors Bureau to help support that organization's activities that related to destination marketing for our community, in particular their efforts to promote the Mount Pleasant area, both in the state and out of state, to bring visitors, tourism, and events into our market. The activities of the Convention and Visitors Bureau are directly assist and help support a healthy business climate in our DDA districts. And can provide an important secondary income stream. Most businesses in the area rely on our local residents for primary revenue, but tourism, especially tourism from outside the region, can be very helpful in bringing new dollars into the community. And the Convention and Visitors Bureau is a key resource for that. The EDA has helped out with the Convention and Visitors Bureau in the past. We've been involved with their efforts associated with the Pure Michigan campaign. As we noted in our memo, that activity ended in 2018. There was no request in 2019. The Convention and Visitors Bureau has altered their mix of activities, so they're not asking for funding for a particular project, but instead they've asked for support for their general promotion and marketing activities. From perspective of staff, we looked at the organization and their activities and their impact on the DDA districts, and we've included a recommendation that the EDA board consider an annual contribution to the Convention and Visitors Bureau of $10,000. On the second page of our memo, we just noted some of the Board of Trustees goals that apply to this, and we would note that this contribution would help to support commerce in our DDA districts, and in particular would help to achieve the board's goal that all can feel welcomed and feel belong and engage in our community. This is really almost straight out of the mission statement for the Convention and Visitors Bureau in terms of that welcoming attitude. We do have a number of physical elements of our work with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. One of the key ones is our banners that we have at the gateways into our community, where we have seasonal banners that are up. Our summer banners are up right now. The Convention and Visitors Bureau was a key element of getting that project done in the past. This proposed contribution would help to support their work and help to support business activity in our DDA districts. So with that in mind, we've included a resolution at the bottom of page 2 of this request for board action. As I said, the staff is recommending an annual contribution of $10,000 to be split evenly between the East DDA and West DDA funds. But the Convention and Visitors Bureau itself has not asked for a particular amount of money. So this is really up to you to decide what you'd like to do with this.
And hearing that, Rodney, this is Tom. That the 10,000 is in the base bid, the annual budget already, correct?
This would require an amendment to the budget. And in fact, as I noted in the report under costs towards the middle of the second page of the memo, that if you do choose to support the Convention and Visitors Bureau, it would require an amendment to the budget. The next item on our agenda is the budget amendment. And so what I would recommend is if you choose to support the Convention and Visitors Bureau, that when you get to the next item, that we simply address that as part of any action on the budget amendment to direct that figure be added in.
Yeah, Rodney, I've worked with the Convention Visitors Bureau for several years. And I'll tell you, they do a wonderful job. They're well organized, well-oiled machine. I mean, they got everybody together. They do bring a lot of economic into our community. And no matter what it is, I mean, they coordinate it well with everything. And I support them. I like them. They, as well as, Middle Mission Development, direct impact on our economy. So I would like to support this.
This is
I'll
Tom again.
second Mr. Barr's motion on that.
Yes, there's a motion to approve the request for the support for the convention visit.
Need a dollar amount.
10,000.
So we have, if you look at the bottom of page 2 of the request for board action, you'll see a resolution there. If we could,
There it is.
to assist with the minutes, if we could follow that format, that would help Amy with preparation of the minutes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution, approval and the contribution to the Mount Pleasant Area Convention and Visitors Bureau of $10,000 to be split evenly between the East Downtown Development Fund and the West Downtown Development.
Support.
Thanks,
Motion
Jim.
by. Any further questions?
No, I appreciate your comments, Rick. Seems like for us who are not familiar with the work that the Visitors Bureau does, it seems like just another contribution that runs down a rabbit hole, and it's hard to monitor whether we're getting our bang for the buck. So I appreciate your insight and helping me that I support the program. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the motion by Bars, supported by Ben, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Decide every winner.
Let's move on to the next item 8B.
I'll take care of the budget amendment. We're requesting a budget amendment approval and recommendation to the Township Board of Trustees for the East and West EDA funds. In the East EDA fund, in the revenue area, we're asking for a $8,000 increase or adjusted increase for the DDA, East DDA. That's for the state aid revenue budget. That's money that we request each year for the reimbursement of personal property tax losses. We're expecting that to come in at 63,000 instead of the 55,000 that was budgeted. And then in the expenditure area, increasing the right-of-way lawn care budget 2,500 to cover a more productive growing year along the Pickard Street corridor. We're also increasing the budget $4,000 to help cover street lighting repairs needed along Pickard, as well as the new light pole installation that was needed from the accident that occurred in 2019. And we're also increasing the flower landscape maintenance budget, 2,500, to comport with the actual amounts that have been spent in 2019. The total net expenditures from all these adjustments is an increase of $9,800 in the East DDA fund in the expenditure area. And the resulting net impact of that budget amendment is to reduce projected year-end fund balance by $1,800 compared to the original budget. And then in the West DDA fund, In the revenue area, we have no increase or decrease recommended for the revenue budget. But in the expenditure area, we're requesting an increased budget of $73,600 to cover the cost of the remaining payment toward the pump station number 14 project that wasn't complete at the end of fiscal year 2019. So in the West EDA, the resulting net impact of the budget amendment would reduce projected year-end fund balance by $73,600 compared to the original budget.
All right, I'll move that authorization is hereby given to amend the fiscal year 2020 budget for the East and West DDA funds in the respective net amounts of $6,800 in the 248 East DDA fund and $78,600 in the 250 West DDA fund, with the difference being the $5,000 each that we just voted for the Tourism Bureau, to include that.
Support. Who supported?
Coin.
Coin. Motion by Zalid, support by Coin. All in favor of approving that requested action, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And the motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we move on to 8C, the mowing service request for bids?
Yeah, I'll take care of that one. You have before you a request for EDA board action to accept a bid for mowing services for beginning in the 2021 growing season. The program was put out for bid from 2021 to 2023. We have a current contract with Wilson Lawn Care that was approved by the EDA in 2017. They are currently on extension of that through the end of the 2020 growing season. As you see in our memo, we did post the bid request for bids. We also sent it directly and invited 9 local landscape contractors to apply. These that you see here, the 9 were all based on recommendations that were received from various entities, some through the chamber, and others through individual recommendations. We did receive bid packages from 3 entities, and those are all listed there. The Gaynor Lawn Care, Wilson Lawn Care, and Green Scene Landscaping. The scope of services, as noted in the bid package, we were very specific more specific in this scope of services as to exactly what's required. The previous scope of services had some vagueness to it and some question about what was in and what was out. So this one, if you read the bid package, it's much more specific as to what would be required. Staff we evaluate the 3 bids based on various criteria, including the completeness of the response, the price, and the responsiveness, attention to detail, and other client feedback elements. We did contact each bidder was asked to provide a client list. We did contact many of the clients on those lists and receive feedback from them. You'll see that evaluation is included in the back of the memo. Based on our evaluation, it is our recommendation that Gaynor Lawn Care be selected as a successful bidder beginning for the 2021 through 2023 growing seasons. This is going to be a significant cost. We will be looking at that for next year's budget. All 3 bidders came in with bids that were substantially higher than the 2017 contract. But Gainer Lawn Care scored highest on our evaluation. And so with that, you'll see on the last page of our memo of resolution that's recommended for your consideration to accept that bid and to authorize our township manager to sign a service agreement with them for the services. With that in mind, I have any questions you may have.
Rodney, did you say Gunner?
I apologize. I've talked to the gentleman on the phone and I heard it as Gainer, but it could just
Gunner.
be me. So it's Gunner?
Gunner.
I apologize for
Yep.
that. Gunner.
Yeah, they are the cheap. They are the cheapest.
They are actually not the cheapest. The Green Scene Landscaping has essentially a sliding scale. If you look on the evaluation or in the bid documents, you'll see Green Scene has the cheapest cost per cut, but they have a stepped rate. The first year would be $585, and by the third year it would be $720. Gunner Lawn Care came in at $725 as a flat rate for all 3 years. Gunner did come in. We have part of this bid package is a spring cleanup and a fall cleanup. Gunner Lawn Care was the least expensive of the three on that element. Proposing a $1,000 charge for a spring cleanup and a $1,500 charge for a fall cleanup. Again, flat rate for all 3 years.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why they are the cheapest that way. Because if we see monthly wise, how much they save? I mean, 585, 625, and 710. That is the per month cut. Am I right? These are monthly cuts.
These are the 725 rate is per cut. So,
Per cut. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are at least 4 cuts a month, roughly.
Right. We assume 28 cuts per year. You'll see in the second page of our memo, you'll see the assumption of cost based on 28 cuts per year. Gunner would be an annual cost of $22,800 for all their services. If we went to 28 cuts per year.
Why they did that by mistake 2017, 2018, and 2019 for the fall and spring cleanup? Why they put those dates? 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, that's actually an error on my part. All 3 bidders were asked to use the attachment A form that we included in the bid package, and I left those dates on there. They were from the previous version of this. So that's my error. It's really 2021 through 2020.
But that's actually is 21, 22, 23.
Yes, that's correct.
I see.
I think one of the bidders changed it, but the other ones did not.
Okay.
So,
Rodney?
And what is this green scene that's asking another $2,800 one edging, extra edging? What is that?
The curb lines along Pickard Road and sidewalks are required to be edged periodically. That is part of the current request scope of services for Wilson Lawn Care. It would be part of the scope of services for the next contractor as well. Unfortunately, that edging work has not been done. We've let them know that. We've requested it, but Wilson Lawn Care has not yet done that. And so we actually have a number of areas along the Pickard Road corridor where the amount of edging work that's needed now is much more extensive than if it had been maintained regularly. So Green Scene decided to provide a separate charge for the first time, recognizing that the scope is far higher in the amount of work that's needed.
So this will be additional one-time $2,800 for 3 years.
No, just for the very first time they do the edging, they would charge $2,800.
Additional, okay, only 1 year.
That is correct. It's just a one time, the very first time they do the edging, the cost.
That was Green Scene charged $2,800.
Yes, Green Scene is the one that chose to do that. I did receive the same question from Gunner about that same issue. They chose not to include a separate higher cost for edging.
So that will be, Grainer will be including that 2,800, what Green Scene is asking.
And Rodney, somehow I lost track of the total for the year, estimated total for the year. What would the totals be, say, just for the first year for Gunner and Green Scene?
I only ran the cost in the memo for Gunner, and that's on the bottom of page 2 of our memo under title costs. And
Okay, page 2.
as it notes there, it would be annual total cost of $22,800 if
That was,
they went through 28 mowing.
okay, that's Gunner.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then what was Green Scene?
I can work it out. I did not put that in the report.
My math shows there
They are
over
higher. They are higher.
the 3-year average, I come up with 21,350, but that
For
does
green?
not include that. If you average, take the higher and the lower, take the average, which I assume the middle year is going to be the average of those two numbers, plus the cleanup, fall and spring cleanup. I come up with an 3-year average of 21,350, but that does not include the extra edging cost, if I understand Rodney correctly.
So it'd be about
No, Gunner is the cheapest.
another $1,000 per year, right? Jim?
For the edging then, or yeah, for not including the edging, extra edging costs, which sounds like Gunner not going to charge. Green Scene, based on what I just ran, was 21,350 a year, average for the 3 years.
It'll be about 22,250 or something like that. 22,250. About 900 more. Okay.
For Gunner, right? You're saying
Gunner is the cheapest. Gunner is the cheapest, bid wise.
Well, I can personally vouch for Luke. I've had him do some work for me, and he's a very conscientious young man, very hard worker, built the business from the ground up, and he's got his family name on the business. So that's important. I fully endorse him.
And I would second that as well. I think that they've done a great job with their work so far, and I could see that they look like they're going to be consistent in their pricing, and I see a lot of expansion of their work, so they must be doing good work for other people.
I think they're both good companies. I was just trying to get clarification of the dollars. And overall, Rod, you feel comfortable with Gunner, is that correct?
That is correct. And it was close. Okay. If you look at the evaluation, I mean, there's a 1-point difference between Green Scene and Gunner. As far as we were concerned, it really tipped it to Gunner was the responses from their clients. Both had good responses. Gunners were slightly better.
Yeah, I think they are the cheapest. Yeah.
Okay.
Call the question.
So
Go ahead. Do you have a question?
If we could, with whatever we do, if we could use the resolution text on the last page of the memo, that would be helpful to Amy when she's putting the minutes together.
So, did I hear there's a motion on the table by Fig, supported by Gunning?
I second it.
Motion by Fig, supported by Chowdhury?
Yes.
Okay. To approve this request for EDA board action per the action requested description on page 1 and the resolution on page 3 of the request for board action form.
So we need to read the resolution then, Marty. You want to make the formal motion? It's right there.
So I move to accept the bid from Gunner Lawn Care. Irrigated edging, trimming, cleanup services in the defined along the east Victor Road for the 2021 growing seasons, subject to annual appropriation and authorization to sign a service agreement with Gunner Lawn Care for these services.
Are there any questions on that? Hearing no more questions, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And the motion is approved. Thank you. Let's move on to pending business, item 9A.
This is held over from our May meeting. In May, we provided you with a request for EDA board action to look at, that included a list of current projects and a list of more than 40 potential future projects that the EDA board could consider, some of which are authorized within the development plans for the East EDA or West EDA district, and others that might require amendment to those documents. We did receive, we asked the board members to review the list of future projects and to do an initial prioritization of that. We kind of put a little numbering in there, 1 to 5 or 0 to 5, basically 5 being high priority and 0 to 1 being low priority, to get just an initial idea of what projects you might be interested in pursuing, and the idea would be to come back to you with an updated list and begin to refine that into a program for capital improvements and other public investments for the East and West EDA. We did receive responses back from 6 of the EDA board members. We are still waiting for responses back from the other 5. Our intent is to have this on the August agenda for you. So I know Amy Peak has sent out reminders to those 5. I'm going to send out another reminder this week after our meeting to those that have not yet responded, and we would ask that you do respond so we can have your preferences noted on the updated request for board action. And as I said, we do intend to have this back on the agenda for August. One note I would make related to that, the development plans, is that we are the Downtown Development Authority, the old Downtown Development Authority Act is now Public Act 57 of 2018, required that tax increment financing plans have a duration associated with them, essentially an expiration date. Those expiration dates are coming up. The East EDA TIF tax increment financing plan is set to expire in December, at the end of December of 2021. The West DDA tax increment financing plan is a little bit more complicated. The plans has the same date on it as the expiration, but the ordinance that was approved by the Board of Trustees set a shorter expiration date of December of this year. So we're actually in the process of looking at that and putting together a response to see if we can extend that date to allow us time to work on these plans more comprehensively. But we do have these plans are older; they date from the 80s and 90s, and so there's a good opportunity right now to look at the DDA districts as a whole and what is needed over the next 5 years or more, from a capital public improvements perspective, and put a program together to fulfill those needs and to provide the improvements in both districts that are best suited for those particular areas. So that it is important to move this ahead. And so I would ask you, as I said, for those that have not yet prioritized the future projects and giving me back your comments, please do so. You can drop those off in the Dropbox to my attention at the front of the Township Hall. You're also welcome to scan and email them to me if that's easier for you. But please plan to do that in the next week or so I have time to get all that compiled together and get information back to you for the August meeting. As we talked about earlier, as Ms. Bartz mentioned, one of the projects that is in that future projects list is
If you go right back here.
is a proposal to map the underground street lighting system, underground wiring, and get that into the MISTIG system. When you see that next time, we are also going to make sure the irrigation system is included on that as either as a separate project or incorporated into that. So that is one of the projects, in that project line item, there are details about what MISTIG is asking for. We have been in communication with them, and so we are aware of what is needed, but there is a cost associated with getting that done. So that is just one of the projects that are out there, but I think it is definitely an important one to look at for our upcoming budget for next year. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions about that, any of those elements.
Rod, I don't have any questions. I have some comments. I received that and I filled it out and sent it.
Yep.
I think the hardest part about that survey, a lot of that I just didn't understand. You know, I didn't know how to put a priority. I think everybody that some of you folks, especially Jim or Tom, are in that type of area, really understand what some of the implications. I mean, Vance, I think, is very familiar with that too. But again, I just kind of filled out. If I didn't know what it was, I just left it blank. I'm leaving. I'm sure people have a better idea what's going on, and they would know their priorities again. And some of it, like some of the cul-de-sac on Betty Lane or one of those, I just drove over there. Drove around, took me about 20 minutes to drive and see what this all was. And I had some comments, but other than that, I think that's one of the problems, trying to get it done.
Yeah. And I do appreciate that. You know, some of those projects, like the cul-de-sac item, were straight out of the development plan. So there are things that date, in some cases, date back to 1985 when these plans were initially created, and they may not be appropriate to move forward with, and that is completely okay. Or they may just, you know, we may put them down at the bottom of the priority list, and that is completely okay. My thought is that for our August meeting, I'd like to recommend that we make this the main discussion item, and we can kind of go through these one by one and get answers. And we may find that through that process that priorities change, and that is also okay. We just wanted to get kind of an initial response from all the board members, and understanding that things may shift as more information is available.
Bacon here. Mine's done. I'll get it to you the next day or two.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any more comments on the survey?
Nope, it's well needed. We've got substantial fund balances, and the problem is, we all know, if we don't have a good plan to start spending some of those on worthwhile projects, is someone else will spot the money and decide they got a better use for it. So this is a great way, I think, to get this discussion started, certainly. And I would add to Rick's comments that even though you may or may not be familiar with the projects, if there's something that interests you as a community member. And Rick, you've certainly been in this community a long time. And if there's something that looks like it's interesting to you, that's welcome input for sure. So.
And hearing no more comments, I just want to thank you, Rodney, for being the host moderator, and the rest of the staff. I think you guys do a great job putting this together, especially with the challenges of doing this
Hey, Tom,
online.
Before you cut off, I do have a question before you adjourn, just to let you know.
Okay, go ahead.
The overpass on Pickard, our cut stone got damaged quite severely. Are we responsible for the repairs, or is MDOT?
That's a great question. I apologize. I intended to bring that up. I had a meeting just today. I've been in contact regularly with representatives from MDOT and the contractor about the lighting, which was removed from under the overpass for their work, and also the stone work. The contractor is definitely responsible for the work. That has been confirmed to me repeatedly. It was confirmed to me again today that they are aware that they're responsible for the damage and responsible for the repairs. The project is beginning to wrap up. There's still work to be done under the overpass. There's still work on the deck as well. The work underneath is intended to be done before Labor Day. Probably they said mid to late August. The final deck work and overlay will happen after Labor Day. The contractor's intent is to address the repairs to that stonework and also address the lighting at the tail end of that project. So that, most likely some point in September. We will be likely bringing something to you for the August meeting related to the lighting. As the contractor did remove the fixtures and all the conduit from the bridge supports. They will put them back if we ask them to. The fixtures themselves are ancient. They were rehabbed and the guts were replaced. The original guts were replaced with LED a number of years ago, but the fixtures themselves are well beyond their design lifetime. So we've been having some conversations that was part of today's meeting about the possibility of putting up a different fixture underneath there, a new fixture, rather than trying to put those old ones back up again. So that conversation is ongoing, and we will likely be bringing something to your August meeting for you to consider. The contractor is anticipating having something to me in early August that you could take a look at. They did also mention, just talking about projects, that they are planning to come back and do a far more major project along M20 in 2023. They are planning to do roundabouts at both freeway entrance and exit ramps, and also to do a complete rebuild of M20 from US 127 west to Mission Street. So those will be coming, and some of our projects that are actually on our list, including intersection work in Isabella Road and mid-block crossings, I think was also on our future projects list. These are things we may be able to get MDOT to do for us because they are doing a major rebuild there. So I appreciate the question. I did have one other item, if I may, and I apologize that this did not get on the agenda. Just a question about our start time. We asked for an earlier start time because we knew we had a big agenda tonight. We did have a good turnout of members for the 4 p.m. start time. Is this something that you would like to continue in the future? Would you like us to do another poll for our August meeting to see what time would work best for everybody? What would your preference be in that regard?
Let's do the poll. 4 o'clock works well for me for current.
As a as a self-unemployed person, I'm fine either way. I'll just do the poll.
All right. We'll plan on putting a poll out then for the August meeting and just see where we are and what works best time-wise. Thank you very much for your comments today. This was a very good meeting.
Thank you, Rodney.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing no more comments, we'll call the meeting adjourned to 5:20, and we'll see everybody or hear everybody August 18th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
man.